And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, it's getting colder. Santa is almost on his way. It is almost time for Christmas, but it is definitely time for the Weighing In podcast. We've got the last UFC of the year to talk about. There was some good fights in it. There was a final fight that you look at, and man, I'm glad I wasn't a judge. But when you have that kind of fight, don't be mad when you lose it to the judges. I hate to say it, Josh. We say it all the time. Put it all out there. But how are you doing, man? I know you're a little under the weather.
Yeah, me and the whole family, man. We all got it. We're ripping it up right now. It's definitely flu season, and I can tell you that's what I got. Let you guys know. I'm gonna bear through this thing and have some fun because I'm here to fuck John up and all these.
Dude,
guys.
I am hoping that somewhere through this, just somewhere through this podcast, you blow a fucking bubble moco out of your nose. It's just
that's so bad, man. I got up like at 4:00 just so I could use my nasal spray, blow everything out. I just did. I took a
get
hot
it out
shower.
of there.
Try to get it all out so I could look like I'm halfway normal. But first, you guys, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to us. And you guys, we've got a couple special shows that are coming up for you guys on Christmas.
Yes,
do.
On
that following Tuesday,
Tell them, baby.
We've got on Christmas Day, we are dropping AJ McKee. We had him on as a special guest, getting ready for his fight in Japan on New Year's Eve. And then that following, is it Tuesday, Dave, or Wednesday morning?
It'll be Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning on that midweek show, we've also got Juan Archuleta, who is also fighting on that New Year's Eve show in Japan at the Saitama Arena. It is a blast to fight there, you guys. And this is a huge dream for a lot of fighters. A lot. And so when you see these fighters out there, you know that they took these fights because first they want to represent their brand at Bellator. And the same thing goes for the Rising fighters. But this is a dream for a lot of fighters. You could really say, John, that the sport was, I know it started in the UFC with the whole, I don't even know if it really started in the UFC. Like, I know it was in the UFC was a big deal, but Japan was kind of doing something like this before, and Russia's always been doing Sambo, which is very similar to this.
You know, everything has changed. Mm-hmm. It really has. And it's so funny to watch how everyone tries to change history a little bit. Like the first UFC was November 12th in 1993, and that's where it started. Now, there was Pancrase.
Yes.
In Japan at the time. That had just started up, and it was great, but it was there, there was a whole lot of difference to it, and there was rules as far as rope escapes and things like that. You could, if you were put in a submission, you touched the rope, you had to let go of the submission, and open hand palm strikes to the face. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't MMA. You can't say it was MMA, but it was a step forward towards it. And you're right. Combat Sambo wasn't the same as what Combat Sambo is today. It was different. And it has morphed because of MMA into what we see today when you look at, the Sambo Combat World Championships and stuff. They're wearing headgear and they're wearing the Sambo gi top. But, man, they're punching now. And they didn't used to do that. It was more of the grappling. Everything's changed. But, man, look, Japan became special because of Pride. And the epic shows, let's just be honest. The UFC at the time didn't have the money to do the epic shows, and Pride did. They had Fuji TV, and man, they were making some money, and they put on some spectacular shows. Yes. Unbelievable. You had to be there to understand how special it was inside of that, arena, whichever one it was, Tokyo Dome, Saitama Super Arena. But yeah, if you grew up watching anything like Pride, every fighter wants to fight in Japan. Because they want that experience. And that's what these guys are going to get. It's going to be awesome for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big experience. I fought over there on New Year's Eve. I was the co-main event, so I fought at like 4:30 in the morning here in the States. But it was definitely a very, very eye-opening experience as well on what to expect from sportsmanship from the Japanese and understanding that you're not going to fight till the end of the night, but they get you there at 10
Honor
a.m.
and pride.
Yeah, they bring you one little mat to warm up on. It's
they're not cheating.
It's a 2x3 mat.
But they're cheating.
They're making it a little difficult for you to get warmed up and do your things.
Oh, you need to weigh in again.
Yeah.
No, you got to weigh in again.
I know.
You made weight, start drinking, you got to weigh in again.
It's so funny. Some guys, you don't even know how they made weight. You're like, that guy's way bigger than me. How the hell did he make weight? Like, they just get on. Oh, good. You're like, what? Okay.
I've seen it here too.
Yeah, this is very true. Very true. But hey, before we get started on the show, go to weighingin.merch.com. Pick up some of our new apparel. John's wearing one underneath the sweater you can't see right now because
That's right.
it is freezing
Got my
inside
skulls
his
on.
little studio there.
Woo.
As you guys can see, John is doing whatever he can to warm up that studio. He took his blinds down. That's why the sun is shining on his belly and letting the world know that it is prominent and sticking out. There we go.
Come on, baby.
But hey. But let's go ahead and get started on this show. But John, what do you want to start with first? Let's talk. Obviously, we're going to talk about the UFC. And do you want to start with the main event?
Yeah, you got to go there because it is what it's about. Oh, I got to say that, you know what? Josh, I screwed up last time. I said that Cannonier had beat Robert Whittaker. No, Robert Whittaker had beaten Cannonier. I just made the mistake. So everyone that was out there, my wife saw it in the comments and she said, geez, can we, after like one or two people, the rest have to like say it? It's like, yeah, that's what they do. You know, that's okay. But yeah, I made that mistake. Oh, well. So, yes, Cannonier did lose to Bobby Knuckles.
Before we move on, let me talk about one of my favorite sponsors, Z-Biotics. Nowadays, when I drink alcohol, I just don't bounce back like I used to, John.
Which is all the time.
Which is all the time. When we're on the road, we're getting after them a little bit. But look, we all have busy lives the next day, whether it's working or whether it's family, whatever it is, sports with the kids, whatever it is. We all have busy days. We can't afford to sit on the couch the next day and waste that day. So Z-Biotics is the answer we've all been looking for.
Look, Josh, you know that Z-Biotics is the first pre-alcohol probiotic in the world, first genetically engineered probiotic. So it is special. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings that all of us have experienced after drinking. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know what I'm talking about with this. So here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into what is a toxic byproduct in your gut, and it's that byproduct that makes you dehydrated, and dehydration, that's what is to blame for that rough next day where you're just not feeling good and the headache is there. Well, Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break up this byproduct and get rid of it in your gut. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it the most. So just remember to drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol. You got to drink it before you drink the alcohol, and drink responsibly. Get a good night's sleep and drink some water. That'll really help, but you're going to feel a whole lot better tomorrow.
Yeah, John, the first time I tried Z-Biotics, I was getting ready to go to a wedding. And when I was getting ready to go to a wedding, I knew that I was going to probably be drinking because that's what we do at weddings, right? When it's not your wedding, you're drinking a lot because it's all in the house.
And when it is your wedding, you're drinking twice as much.
Twice as much. But I made sure that I drank my Z-Biotics before I went. Had a great time. Next day, didn't feel bad at all. Normally, you have a little bit of that gut feeling, like you're saying, like you felt like you either ate too much or you have it just feels really weird and a little bit of a headache. I didn't have those feelings when I drank my Z-Biotics before I went out to that wedding. Had a great time. Next day, didn't feel like crap.
Atta baby. And so if you want to feel actually good, like Josh did on that night, I want you to give Z-Biotics a try yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/weighing in. You'll get 15% off on your first order when you use the weighing in code at the checkout. All right. So you got to make sure that you use the weighing in code at the checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. This fight here, it kind of ended up being exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Sean, yeah, it really did. You know, and it was the one thing that I really was, uncertain about was, would Sean Strickland, who does have actually a decent ground game, he's got decent wrestling, would he try to close the distance and change it up to make it so Cannonier had to deal with more? He did in the first round and then didn't do it after that. And the one thing that he got away from that I don't understand, and his coach was asking him, Josh, that teep to the midsection is a beautiful weapon when a guy's not trying to take you down all the time. Even when a guy does, it's tough sometimes to get a hold of it. He used it early and then went away from it. And you could hear Eric Nixick saying, hey, man, I need you to do this. When he goes into southpaw, this is what I want you to do. Sean really threw it a couple of times. And it's that jab to the body that makes a difference. And Cannonier's hands were so high at times. Mm-hmm. That body was open, and Sean gets into this. He's headhunting. He's looking to touch that head, and man, he had so many opportunities, in my opinion, to attack the body, to put shots on him that would have gotten him the win. And this was a very close fight. And I know people are going to be upset. There's going to be people upset with it and stuff. You can't. If you're either fighter, you can't be upset that you didn't get the draw, because there just wasn't. There were too many elements you left hanging that could have gotten you that win.
Yeah. I want to start with Sean Strickland and his training, because this is when fighters, you were talking about headhunting a lot, which is true. The push kick was working a little bit, got away from it. Yep. John, a lot of the times when fighters are just strictly headhunting, it's because they spar too much. And reason being is, and I'm going to give you guys, when you spar with 16-ounce gloves. So you're constantly trying to touch the head, because going to the body is a lot of work. Like, you go to the body, you're carrying the 16-ounce gloves, it doesn't really have an impact unless you hit it clean at the right time, all of those things. That's why pro boxers, right? They train with a purpose. And the purpose is, today I'm going to go in, snap my jab, and rip the body. That's their purpose for the day. This is what I'm working on. When you spar every day, or when you do this stuff all the time, you're losing your purpose. You're just going out there to spar as almost like it's a secondary to cardio. This is how you're training. You're training basically to be able to go the distance in 5 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it is. Sorry, guys. So this is what he's doing. And I saw a little bit of that when you started talking about that too. It kind of raised the point of, he needs to start training with a purpose. Sparring all the time is not going to get you that way. So now he's headhunting, and then he got away from the wrestling because he probably doesn't wrestle a lot when he's sparring.
No.
So that's the other thing. Like, his purpose should have been, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to wrestle for 5 rounds when you're sparring now. If you spar every day, you kind of get away from that, because it becomes fun to hit each other. It becomes fun to talk trash to each other. It becomes fun to be in the mix and the clinch. And then, it becomes fun. Sparring is supposed to be a learning experience. If you can implement what you've been doing through the week into that one sparring session or that second sparring session, whatever it is, to really fine tune what you have learned in the week, that's what sparring is about. When you're just sparring all the time, you get away from that. And I saw that. He went back to what he is relaxed. He went back to what he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That he didn't want to wrestle all the time, because he doesn't force himself to do it during sparring. He didn't want to continue to use the tip kick because he doesn't force. It's a lot of work to use that tip kick. That was one of my favorite techniques. It's a lot of work to lift your leg up all the time and take the impact on them stepping in at the right time. Sometimes you kick the elbow. Sometimes you kick the chin. Sometimes you hit, at the top of the cup, or you hit the hip bone, whatever it is. It's not pleasant to use that push kick all the time. And so I saw what you saw. He got away from what he was. He got away from what was working for him, because he went into what was comfortable for him.
Exactly. And you look and you go, Sean is a good fighter. He really is.
He is.
I mean, he's got all the elements that you're looking for. First off, he takes a shot very well. He's got a good chin. I know that, Pereira knocked him out. That can happen to anybody, especially when you're getting to guys that are 200 pounds, and they're 200 pounds when they walk in that cage easy. And so you look and you go, but he takes a shot well. He rolls with shots well. He manages distance very well. And it's one of the things I think that his sparring does do for him. Yeah. Is he's so comfortable as standing right in that pocket, being right at that length where he knows, I can reach out and touch you, and I can use the defense that my roll and my setback that I do. He uses that very well. He doesn't eat a lot of hard shots. And so he does so many things well. It's just that you're watching as the fight goes on, and he's giving his opponents problems. He is, but not enough problems. And he's not scoring enough with shots that you're looking and going, that was a really damaging shot. He has a couple in there, but the volume just needs, if you're going to be in that, mode that he was in, the volume has got to raise up. You got to raise that volume and get it going.
No, I agree. I think there's opportunities to work on your distance, which is, we used to call it red room sparring, which is like where you're supposed to spar light, which usually led to like real hard sparring. But we had a room specifically for that, where you would just spar light, and that was how you learned your distance. That's how you learned your movements. That's how you worked on your lateral side to side movements. You're slipping, you're rolling, working the body a little bit without having to worry about getting hit too hard. Your hard sparring, which it seems like he does all the time, is to work and see if you can implement what you have learned throughout that week in real action, like in that really aggressive style fighting. To see, I was wondering the same thing if your mic had went out.
I said true it. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I want it. So for him, I wanted to see, like, for him it should be the intensity of getting the takedown for 3 rounds or 5 rounds and making it a focus, ripping the body, using the tip kick, making sure that those are things, because that tip kick is a good judgment of distance. It's a longer version of the jab. And when you use that, then the guy has to step in faster. When he steps in faster, it makes it easier to get the takedown. These are all things that he would have learned had he sparred with a purpose. I didn't see that from him. And look, I'm not here to knock him. I think he's a fantastic fighter. You know, I want to also give him thanks for giving me a shout, you know, after during the press conference. Talking about, I said something about the whole prostitute thing. It was taken out of a little bit of context, but you know what, though? He's still, at least we know he listens. But overall, look, he's a fantastic fighter.
He is. Man, he's so good.
That being said, though, John, I can't take anything away from Cannonier. He did his job.
Yeah.
He did his job. Came out. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more output from both fighters.
Yes. And that's why I said, and you could take a look in the scores. The scores were 49-46. I had it 48-47, but it was 49-46-2 for Cannonier and 49-46 once for Strickland. So you're seeing the judges sitting at their opposing positions. They're seeing things, and it's like they're giving that view of, I think one guy is being more progressive in trying at least to do something in the fight, trying to be someone that's at least putting volume on. There just wasn't that. When you looked, it wasn't like Sean Strickland was the guy stepping on the gas, putting it on Cannonier. That's what they're looking for. And it wasn't like Cannonier was the guy stepping on the gas, putting it on Strickland, because he's a tough guy to hit. And so he's trying to, but the intensity needed to just start to rise with each round. And it did a little bit, in a couple of them, but it was a tough fight to judge. And that's why I look, I go, man, neither guy can complain. You really can't. I mean, you both fought. You fought well. It wasn't that it wasn't that great fight. Paul Felder. That was a great fight. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No. It was a good technical fight, but there was so much more that I thought each guy could do.
They left a lot of meat on the bone to be desired.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean. Like
very good comment.
But considering both fighters are so normally willing to engage and strike in and get after each other, they left a lot. They left a lot on the plate there for us to be like, damn, we want to see more.
Yeah,
but I want to see more in terms of, I want to see more output, not that I want to see just more of the fight. I want to see you guys get after it, because both of them have been known to do that. All right, good fight though overall, but it wasn't a great fight. I mean, look, they fought their asses off, but when you leave it to the judges, that's what you end up with. It's a learning lesson for Sean Strickland. For some of your best betting odds, go to mybookie.ag, use our promo code weighing in, and don't tell them, or just tell them that we sent you. Hopefully you guys do well at mybookie.ag. Next fight.
Arman Tsarukyan.
Jesus, John.
Dude, his wrestling is so fucking good.
This kid's good.
Man, he's good.
It's so crazy. I didn't realize that his first fight in the UFC was Islam. I thought it was like his second or third fight. I didn't realize that was his intro fight, his fight. I didn't realize that.
Man, I know did him no favors.
I know Islam was sick that week, and I'm going to continue to say that because everyone keeps talking about how Islam had a hard time with him. He had a hard time with him because Tsarukyan.
You know why he had a hard time with him?
Because he's good.
Fucking A.
Good.
Tsarukyan's good.
Yeah, I'm like, damn.
That kid has got it.
He does.
Man, he can wrestle. He can strike. He's got a submission game. He can definitely put the heat on you. Look, you can take nothing away from Ismagulov. You can't take anything away. That dude can fight too. And his wrestling, his defensive wrestling at times was fantastic.
Yeah, his mat return to stand up. It was fantastic. That's what every young fighter or any fighter, period, that's exactly how you need to work on your, don't ever just boom, sit and then give a second. No, boom, hit the ground, bounce back up. Hands, feet, tripod, start working back to your feet. he did a fantastic job in those first 2 rounds, and then he got tired.
Yeah.
And then he started slowing down a little bit.
You can't blame, and it's funny because, people are talking about, he's training up in the mountains. So, yeah, someone puts enough pressure on you and you have to work hard enough. I don't care who you are. It's not that you're not going to get tired. It's how you recover during the break. And he recovered, but then it was right back to that same pressure. Sarukian this is one of those guys, I don't know. I don't know if, right now, I don't think he can beat Islam. But Islam is 31 years of age right now?
I think so.
He's in his prime. But how long is he going to stay at lightweight? I think he's going to be there for a couple more fights. But I do think he's going to end up somewhere along the way growing himself out, especially as he gets into the 35. And Sarukian will be right there. He'll be the same age as Islam when Islam won that title. Mm-hmm. Sarukian's good, man. Dude, I really enjoy watching that kid fight.
He is a fantastic wrestler, but what I love is he's really utilizing his kicks. He's learned how to snap that jab. His stand-up has come a long way. He leaves himself a little bit out of position when he throws the right, but he just needs to follow up with a 3 and a 4, whatever it is. But look, he's 25 years old, 26. 26 years old.
So young.
I fucking wish I was as good as he was at that age. Damn, this kid he's so damn good. I mean, just the level of wrestling, the composure. In that second round, a lot of fighters would have gotten away from a little bit of the wrestling after all the mat returns, not being able to hold Ismagulov down. A lot of them would have kind of abandoned it. And he stayed with it. He stayed with the grind. He got on it. He's like, no, I'm going to break you this way. Started establishing some positions.
And he did.
Kept sitting him to the hip, kept doing a lot of great things, breaking him down. It was beautifully done. And I got to be honest. Dave, can you pull up the rankings? Let's look through this ranking system. I know he lost to Gamrot, but what a very, very close fight.
Super close.
Extremely close fight.
The Gamrot-Sarukian fight was similar to the, Strickland and Cannonier as far as it could have gone either way, and you can't complain.
Who did Gamrot just lose to? Gamrot just lost to somebody also.
Yes, he did. He lost to...
Beneil.
Beneil Dariush. Yeah. Beneil just out scrambled him. Did a great job using the tip and the jabs and all the out scrambles. But
another guy that gets no credit for how good he is.
No, he doesn't get any credit. But I look at this fight, right? I look at that fight. I'm like, if I was to put Sarukian versus Michael Chandler, that'd be a great fight. Him and Justin Gaethje, great fight. I'd love to see those two.
Michael Chandler don't want none of Sarukian, dude.
He don't want that fight. That's a great fight. But let's go a little bit higher. So let's put him maybe with Fiziev. That's a dangerous fight, but I believe he can win that fight. You know what I mean, John? Fiziev is hard to take down. He's got some good elbows.
Not if you wrestle like Sarukian.
Yeah, tricky on the feet. But I'm not going to rule Fiziev out because he's explosive, fast. I
would not rule him out either. His stand up is fantastic, but he has been taken down. And you take a look at the skill level of Sarukian's wrestling.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that dude is good.
If you were the UFC at 20, he's 26 years old. If you're the UFC. Are you looking to match him up against someone like RDA to try to build him a little bit more,
Absolutely.
give him a name?
Absolutely.
I think so too, but I mean, like, does RDA take that fight?
Does RDA take that fight?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, RDA's last fight was where? It wasn't at freaking.
It was at 70
lightweight. It was at 170. Is he going to continue to do that?
Interesting. I want to see if they end up trying to match that fight or whatever, but it should be good. I like
RDA was calling out, Connor, as is Chandler.
Everybody
two guys that you think match up well with Sarukian, so we'll see.
Yeah, Connor's not even in the rankings anymore. So, I wonder if he's still in the testing pool. If you're not in the rankings, he's still in the testing pool. He's looking big.
He's talking big. 185 now.
Damn, that science diet. Next fight.
Amir Albazi versus Alessandro Costa. Costa coming in last minute. Very tough young fighters. He's good everywhere. You just look and you go that, Albazi he's got good stand-up. His stand-up is clean. It's sharp. His wrestling is actually really good. He puts good pressure on people. He just broke Costa down. He just systematically said, look, I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to see what you have. I'm going to, put some pressure on you. And from that point, after round one, once I see it, I'm going to start to come. Yeah. And that's what he did. And he put on a great performance, against a guy that is a really good fighter. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare for that fight because he was like a fourth or fifth replacement for Albazi. And, Albazi, actually said that saying, hey, thank you so much for, taking this fight. Because, when you're that fighter and you're training and all of a sudden your opponents start falling out, it sucks because you don't know where you're going, what you have, and you're training for nothing at that point. It sucks. So very nice job by Albazi, though. He, just dominated the fight, and he got the finish. And you got to look and say, man, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. In that position, he did it, and he looked good doing it.
Albazi's having kind of the same problem that Sarukian and Ismagulov are having. Yeah. Is that they can't get fighters to fight them. And I think on the UFC's part, when it was Joe Silva, that they were Joe was letting you be known that if you're not taking these fights, if you're not taking these fights, cool. I'll have you fight unranked guys for a long time now. Go, you're taking this fight. Now, I don't know how Mick and how Sean do it, but I think that Albazi's going to have the same type of problem. He's very dominant, good wrestling, good on the feet, very aggressive. I just look at how Sarukian and Ismagulov are having to jump through hoops. They had to fight each other because no one wants to fight them. Yeah. They're like, if you were to offer them to the guys that are ranked ahead of them, they're like, oh no, that's too tough of a fight. A lot of that comes from that doesn't come from, but it reminds me a lot of Antonio McKee, AJ McKee's dad.
Oh yeah.
Nobody wanted
to fight Antonio.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get enough, praise when I beat him. And if I lose to him, which is a good possibility because this son of a bitch in certain areas is fucking good.
Yep. I ducked that motherfucker 3 or 4 times at least. I was like, hell no. We were supposed to fight in King of the Cage. I think Ultimate Athlete. I even think the WEC we were talking about us fight. I believe it was. But I know for sure King of the Cage and the Ultimate Athlete. We were supposed to fight. And then the UFC had called me and I was like, I'm out, dude. See you later, man. I ain't fighting you.
Yeah.
See you later, buddy.
You stay here.
Yeah, I wasn't having that nonsense. So, but Albazi, extremely tough. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Costa, good job on you, man. I know you lost by KO or whatever, knockout, TKO, whatever it is. But it takes a lot for a young fighter to step up and realize what they're getting themselves into. And he did a great job. I mean, he was just kind of a little bit outclassed, unexpected to deal with the strength, the wrestling, all those things. And Albazi fought a very smart fight. Kept him in his wheelhouse, controlled the position, laid down some leather, came back up, good posture, laid down some leather, went back down. He did a great job of controlling where the fight went.
Yep.
Alex Caceres versus Julian Erosa.
Talk to me.
Bro, I got to be honest, man. He looked good, but I know he just took the page out of my book, man. You got to throw the straight hand, then throw the head kick right after. That was straight out of my book. Josh Thompson, Nate Diaz. No.
I'm sorry. You're mixing up the Thompsons. There's a guy named Wonder Boy Thompson. He does that shit. He does that shit.
Yeah, he does. He does. He did it very impressively as well. But I mean, mine was a little bit better, but whatever.
Yeah. But seriously,
this was nice, John.
You take a look. There's that combination, which Josh, normally in any type of training situation, no trainer teaches you to throw a punch on one side and then a kick following it up on the same side.
Trained it all the time. Trained it all the time. I trained it all the time.
You're out of balance. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes, a certain skill set to be able to make that thing work. But, it's no different. You can even look back at, when Leon Edwards, Leon Edwards threw that, he actually threw that same side, but he was doing it more of, he was feigning with that hand going out, not really just trying to get the reaction. He got the reaction, brings it up on the same side. Wonder Boy actually would go after trying to hit you with that hand, same as Caceres here. He tried to hit him with that left hand and then followed it up with the left high kick, and it just landed perfectly.
Yeah, there's differences. So with Leon, right? Leon had thrown the straight left and then didn't throw the head kick pretty much. It was just basically waiting to see. Yeah, and then waiting to see how much Usman was parrying that punch over too much.
Yeah.
And he threw it up as a last resort, like, hey, I haven't thrown it all fight. I'm going to throw it now. And that's kind of how you set that up. Caceres will throw the punch for real, left himself a little bit out of position. So your opponent's actually thinking, I'm going to hit you. And he's looking at your face like, I'm ready to hit you. He doesn't even see the kick coming. Caceres was a lot more set up, more like Stephen Thompson.
Yes.
Stephen Thompson actually landed the shot. And as he lands the shot, the punch actually blinds him and the kick comes over the top. So as I'm pulling my hand back after punching you, the kick lands, beautifully timed. Mine with Nate. Mine was I had gone to the body quite a bit in that fight. I had thrown the straight right to the body quite a bit. And he was dipping that way to kind of drop his elbows into block. And that's why I threw mine. So that last one, I actually just feinted the body shot and threw the head kick so I could throw more power behind it. Because it had worked a lot throughout the first round. I landed it twice in the first round. And then I didn't throw it at all until the end of the second. And so it was more like getting his reaction, then getting him to forget about it, and then coming back to it at the end of the second round. People don't realize how much this is a mind fuck. You need to really strategize, play what's going on in your mind. What are you working on? What are you seeing from them? Setting things up. And to get to just to get to the highest level, whether it's UFC, Bellator, Ryzen, PFL, whatever it is, to get to these big shows, you've got to be really damn good. You've got to be good at John, like this is not a fucking easy sport, man. And all these guys, all of them, and females, all of them that are in these top shows, I give you guys a ton of praise. You guys are fucking dogs, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are doing a great job. It's great to see this many fighters being active, but to be that good, they have to have done all these mind tricks in the game. You know, the Manel Cape fight, we'll talk about in a little bit, but all the crossover, the movements, all those things, it's annoying sometimes to watch. It's a little showboating, but it does fuck with your opponent. It makes their mind go, man, I'm getting pieced up right now, and this guy's out here fucking around. It's a mind fuck. A lot of what goes on in that cage is mental. If I can get into your mental and start getting you to doubt yourself, man, you can change the game real quick. So that's what I kind of saw with a lot of these fighters is they're learning how to set things up. And before it was really just come out and throw as hard as you can and fight like Sean Strickland, you know, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Sean. He's a fucking fantastic fighter, but just Caceres, you could tell that stylistically, that was something he's thrown quite a bit. He's thrown it in training. He's thrown it in sparring. He knew he was out of position. Fuck it. Yep. Let's just throw the head kick up there and see what happens. I've been here before. That's something you do over and over.
It is something you're going to see guys starting to work at because they're seeing that it works.
Yeah, it's
not an easy thing to do, you know, and that's my whole point. And that's why I was joking with you. Hey, it takes time to be able to work on that and make it actually so you can throw that kick, have some power on it also, and have balance, because balance is everything when it comes to fighting. If you don't have the balance, you can throw it up. It's not going to have any fucking power on it. It was a beautiful knockout and a big win by Alex Caceres. I love that. I thought it was just
this is the difference though, John. He threw it off the straight left and then threw the head kick right after. That works wonderful for southpaws against against Orthodox. The Orthodox, right? Because they're dipping normally to that side. So the same thing with me. I was conventional and Nate is southpaw. I threw the body shot and then came back up to the top of the head. It works well. That's the best way, I feel like, if you want the knockout, to set it up and get it. But what is drastically underused is the jab. If you can start getting a good jab and getting them to parry real hard, throw the jab and follow with a hard lead leg head kick. Look, when you're hitting the head, when you're hitting the chin, you don't need to kick it hard.
No.
It doesn't take much. People think you got to
especially
load
with
it up.
a kick, because look, the leg is heavy.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of torque getting it up there, but it lands heavy. Doesn't take a lot.
You just need to time it perfectly. When they parry and dip their head to the outside, like how Usman did with Leon, the kick comes right after, and they're not expecting it. They're actually opening the window and putting their head right out as the pole hits your face. That's kind of what they're doing. It's like they don't see it coming, and it's
ducking
perfect
right into
timing.
it.
Yeah, just coming off that lead leg, and that's kind of what Stephen Thompson did. He threw the right hand and then threw the lead leg head kick over the top. That's beautifully done. Not a lot of fighters do that, and I'm surprised. Is you just got to set it up, letting the jab, like Sarukian would be perfect at it because he's got such a great jab. It's just bap, stiff jab, stiff jab. Then they start parrying that jab harder, and their head moves to the other side, and just set up that head kick. Something to think about if you guys are in training and you guys want to try something new. Mid holders, mid holders just pop like that, real easy. Just like hold it here for the jab, then hold it here real quick for the head kick, and it's beautifully set up. Next fight.
Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. I love this
Jeez.
fight. Man, it was good. And it was good for so many reasons. It's the way they competed. Bobby talks a lot. He talks a lot. But he's not shit talking when he's in the cage. I can tell you that. What he's telling you is, you missed. Oh, that hit my shoulder. Dude, come on. Not even close. He just sits there and he fucking
I fucking hate it. John,
I think Drew Dober hated it too, because you could see he got frustrated in that first round when he couldn't hit him, and he made some very good tactical changes getting into that second round. Bobby Green is a very difficult style for MMA guys to deal with because he's different. He's that Stephen Thompson, a different style, and Bobby does it with not a karate stance or anything. Sometimes he's square in front of you, man. You look and you go, all right, that's just odd. It's not what we normally see. And he's got his hands down at his side. Bobby, in the beginning, that first round went to Bobby Green.
Oh,
no doubt about it. I mean, he
definitely
was
one-sided first round.
Dude,
definitely
he was
one-sided.
He was piecing Drew up. And like I said, I thought Drew made some very nice adjustments as far as the second round, in that he crushed that space 6 inches, and it made a big difference for him. Big difference in his ability to actually make Bobby have to react differently. And that in the end is what got him the shot. I heard people say there was an early stoppage. It was not.
No. If you watch from the side angle on the
the
right
way he
side,
fell.
That wasn't just the way he fell. His eyes were basically gone. He was glazed up in the sky going, fuck, what happened? Yeah, he was out. He was out.
Yeah. You watch his hands and where they're at and everything. That was a great stoppage. It was a great knockout. Don't take anything from Drew Dober.
No.
Drew Dober came in there. He fought a beautiful fight. I love his attitude. He comes in just to, he wants to take on good guys. He wants to take on guys that excite him. He wants to take on styles that he thinks matches up well with his style, as far as it'll be an exciting fight. And you can't blame him for that, because, man, when it happens, he's putting on great performances.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, John, is that I went through this little bit of a problem when I came from Strikeforce to the UFC. And I've talked about this before, is that I didn't get the fights that I wanted. I wanted the Cowboy Cerrone. I wanted the Anthony Pettis. Those are the fights that everyone said that they were dreaming to see.
Because you were a foreigner. You left them.
Yeah, but
no.
But I know, but I wanted those fights because that's all people talked
did.
about. That's all people talked about. And fighters, they get motivated by the person that people always compare them to, or they want, stylistically, it's going to be a great fight. Those were the guys that I wanted to fight. Never got offered those fights ever. And it was really upsetting. I was actually supposed to fight RDA, which he kind of motivated me at the time because he was about to make his run. And I really was looking forward to that fight. And then they pulled me from that fight, and I was supposed to fight Pettis for the title because Grant, what was his name? TJ Grant. TJ Grant, he got hurt or he had a concussion or something. But look, he wants to fight the best fighters that match up stylistically with him for fun fights, because that excites him. That gets him into the gym every day.
Yep.
And I wish the UFC would look at that more like, hey, who would you really like? I'm not saying I'm going to give you these fights, but who are some top fighters that you would like to fight, that you think you match up well with? And when you ask those fighters, they're probably going to give you some of the top list guys, but I mean, stylistically, it makes for a great matchup. And as a promoter, you should look back and go, you know what? Bobby Green and Drew Dober make for a fucking great fight. And it was a fantastic fight. Bobby Green, like you said, is someone who stylistically is very hard to deal with. I had a hard time with him when I fought him. It was just awkward. He was faster than I thought. His hands were a little bit heavier than I thought too. I thought he was a powder puffer no, he's got a little bit of heat behind it. He switches stances a lot, and the talking to me really bothered me because I wanted to fight and he wanted to talk. That shit bothers the shit out of me. But he's a hard fighter. But what Drew Dober did in the second round, now I don't know if his corner, because I wasn't listening, but they squashed the space. And when you're fighting someone like a Bobby Green, you got to fight him in a phone booth, because stylistically he rolls, but he doesn't really, he throws the uppercut still from far away. He doesn't throw it really tight all that well. But he's got good boxing, but it's not great inside a phone booth. And once he put his back to the fence, he got himself stuck. He normally circles out and turns and puts your back to the fence.
Yep.
In that one scenario, he kept himself against the fence a little too long. He got clipped with that left hook. Beautifully done. Drew Dober looked like shit the first round.
Yeah,
But he made some changes in the second.
Sometimes it takes you, a good round to try to figure out what you need to do against this guy. And he took a lot of damage and a lot of big shots. You got to give it to him. The kid's got a chin. He took some big shots at times.
He did. But John, I just talked about the mental of all this. How mentally tough do you have to be like a Drew Dober to get just pieced up in the first round and the second round come out there and make those changes and start trying to take over the fight? That's if you guys are listening, like, think about that the next time the next time you see somebody just getting owned, whether it's boxing or wrestling or taking down, and then come back and just have a remedy for it in the second round. He started crushing the space. He slipped in, threw heavy shots, and then he got out, or then he kept pushing him backwards to the fence. He did a great job in the second round. He still got hit with a lot of shots because he doesn't know how to move his head offline. But he's still a fantastic fighter, and he's a fun fighter. What I also noticed, he doesn't lose a lot of his steam off of his shots. Even in that second round, after all those shots he took in the first, and as he came out, he was fighting at a high pace. They were both fighting at a high pace.
Yep.
And he still had a lot of pop on his punches. Tons of pop and fast and speed and getting in. I was like, damn, bro, you're a gamer, dude. You train this. You train this nonstop to be able to have the output that you have in this end of the second round. Fantastic fight. We talked about this being probably one of the fights of the night, and it definitely lived up to the potential. Definitely lived it up.
It's fantastic. All right. Here we go again. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
I didn't want it. Just Mikhail. Brundage just didn't
fight against Cody Brundage. It went, I don't want to say it went exactly like I thought. I thought that Cody would be shooting for takedowns in this. He did, but it was more of that Mikhail kind of fell into something, didn't stop it, but he reversed the position, and from that point never was on his feet. But this is the whole thing with Mikhail. The guy's got power, and on the ground, dude, he hurt Cody with those shots, and just how the whole thing ended up working out. This is exactly what I thought in the end. Not that I don't think Cody Brundage is a good fighter. He is. He's got good wrestling, and he's really come into his own in the stand-up. It's just there's those guys that have that. They don't look like anything, man. They look like, it looks like your average everyday guy that works the grocery store. But they have a power that you just don't understand until it touches you. Mm-hmm. And that is Oleksiejczuk. Say his fucking name right. That's who he is, and I've seen it in too many fights with him. And the dude can fight. There's something about that. That is Polish power.
When Brundage, when you're known for your wrestling and your stand-up's getting a little bit better, bro, just turn your back and get up. Like, I don't even know what to say. You should never be in your guard like that. Don't get me wrong. I know. Go to Brundage. He had like a come from behind submission, I believe, just as of recently. He had a great. I think he had a great submission win. Which one was it? KO punches. Maybe it was KO.
He knocked out.
No, guillotine.
Sean Gore.
Yeah, the Lungambiola. Yeah. He ended up getting a submission in that. Yeah, in that guillotine. But he had got dropped, I think, going into that. I can't remember what fight it was. Anyways, but you can't be off of your back as a wrestler. You got to be looking to scramble, get back to your feet. You need to watch a lot of what Ismagulov does. Hit the ground, pop back up, all of those things. Just give up a little bit of position to get back up. You're the wrestler, man. Be the dominant wrestler. Grind on him, hang on him, do all those things. Utilize your best weapon. And he wasn't doing that. He was comfortable just off of his back, and that's when bad things happen. When you're good enough, when you think you're good enough to be with the top guys in certain positions that you're not really good at, is when you get in the most trouble. Thinking, okay, I got a good jab or I got a good right hand. You start standing with these guys that are fucking Canelo-like, thinking that you can spar with them. Well, let me just tell you, you can't. So you got to be careful with those guys that have good top pressure, good ground and pound, hit hard. I mean, you can't be out there, you can't be on your back as a wrestler. That's not where you're born. You weren't born to be there. Yep. So he's got to remember that. Next fight.
Corey McKenna against Cheyenne Vlismas. Little Corey McKenna. And people can say whatever they want about her. Little sucker can fight, man. She's tough. She's got she's tenacious in the stand-up. She's got like a reach about this big. Okay, so there's nothing there as far as, she's got to get on the inside. She does that very well. She's a good dirty boxer up against the cage. She uses her head position really well. She creates, pressure that makes her opponent go to the direction she wants her to go. And then when it hits the ground, she's good, man. She lands clean shots and everything. I thought Cheyenne throughout the fight was, you're wanting your opponent to fight a different fight. Of course you are, because that's the fight that'll help you win, but you've got to stop what she's doing. And a couple of times in there, I'm like looking and saying, you're not doing the right things to stop what she's doing. If you want to be in the stand-up, then utilize your footwork and move and start to create, hit her as she's coming. You got to touch her and move. Use your footwork. And she would sit there and she would sink down, set her feet, try to land a big shot. Not an easy thing to do at that weight.
Yeah, McKenna lost the first round. And she came back after the first round and she made the adjustments.
Yep.
She realized that she couldn't win standing on the feet. And I think at the end of the first round, she ended up on bottom, I believe. And so she didn't want to be there either. And then the second and third round, she made the adjustments. She pressed her to the fence, got some takedowns, controlled the top position, kept her pressed against the fence, dirty boxed her. Smart, fight IQ. Do whatever it takes to win. Even cheat. Like, fuck, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Fuck, get after it. But she made the adjustments. Is she with Alpha Male? Because I saw Uriah there. So is she with Alpha Male?
She is.
Yeah, and obviously Uriah is a good coach. He's a good fighter. He was a fantastic fighter. But you look at those. She had someone really experienced in her corner to make those adjustments, and she just had to go out there and get it done. So good job on her. Next fight.
Beautiful fight. Love this fight. Fantastic pace and pressure, and both guys going after it. Said Nurmagomedov going up against...
Skipped one.
No,
Jake Matthews.
Did. Well, this was a good fight too. But I love the Nurmagomedov fight, so I got excited. Okay. Matthew Semmelsberger, the semi-Jedi, against Jake Matthews. I was really surprised by this. I thought Jake Matthews was the better fighter overall. And I'll tell you what, Semmelsberger put him down 3 times with shots. And once that first one happens, then the second one, he's diminished. I thought Jake fought as hard as he could fight. I think it was a good battle between the two. I was really surprised that Semmelsberger was the guy laying the knockdowns. I thought, I like Semmelsberger. I've watched him. I think he's a fun fighter to watch. I think he's got power. I thought Jake had reached a level in the stand-up that it was going to make it tough for Semmelsberger. Didn't really happen.
I thought so, too, because Matthews' last win was against Fiallo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I was expecting him to have a better showing on the feet. He just didn't find the range. I think that Semmelsberger was he just had the pop. He was throwing the straighter punches. He was getting there first. He was more explosive. And Jake didn't have the answer. I was surprised there wasn't more takedowns from Jake trying to get to that top position, trying to, get to submissions, whatever it was. I was really surprised that he didn't try to change the game plan as he went along. So kind of upsetting because you're coming off of a great win, and then you come in and you lose like that. You got dropped 1 time in each round. Yeah. That's frustrating. You got dropped 3 times, but 1 time in every round.
And look, that first one, he was seriously hurt.
Yeah.
Second one, he was hurt. Third one, not quite as much, I don't think, but it means all of them hurt him. But he just was diminished from that point going on. So,
yep. Next fight.
All right, Nurmagomedov versus.
Go ahead, John. You can talk about it now. You can talk about it now. This fight.
Thank you, Monov. Karan man, you gotta love the pressure that Karan put on Said in this, because Said, normally he likes to be in the stand-up a little bit, uses his wrestling off of that. He didn't have a choice. He was in a wrestling match. He was in a grappling match, and he was losing a lot of it as far as the positioning and stuff. He went after the guillotine choke early.
Yeah.
He had it at one point. He did have it, and he lost it. Tried to change his hands on it. Didn't work for him. You got to give, him credit for just hanging in there, because this pace was impressive. Unbelievable, Josh, how much pressure Kadramanov was putting on him. That takes a ton of energy. It takes a ton of talent to do. And it takes a ton if you're Nurmagomedov to be the guy that's having that and just stay calm. And then he ends up catching him in the, at that point, they called it a fucking guillotine choke in the goddamn TV broadcast. It drove me crazy.
Well, they got it right here in the
yes,
thing,
they did.
the ninja choke.
Thank God. But it just drove me crazy. I was like, do you not see where his hands are placed? But it was a beautiful submission by Nurmagomedov to end that fight. And he was tired. He was getting worn down.
Yeah. Kakhramonov.
Or it's actually Akhramonov.
Kakhramonov. Okay.
Akhramonov.
He looked fantastic. He was controlling. He was dominating the position against Said Nurmagomedov. He was controlling every aspect of that fight. He put his head in the wrong space for too long and got caught. I mean, honestly, John, this fight was not going Said's way. He had a couple little exchanges on the feet, but he really, for most part, was stuck. He was being defensive the whole time. I was like, wow, this was eye opening for me because I was expecting Said to have a little bit. I know he's real flashy on the feet, a lot of side kick, more of that Taekwondo style, Sambo style fighter, kind of Dagestan style fighter. But he looked good. He looked fantastic. Never gave up. But Kakhramonov or whatever was just. He came to fight. He really came to dominate that position. Wasn't going to let the hype of Said get to him. He fought a fucking great fight, but he just made one mistake, and that's all it takes. Yeah. You look at what Bobby Green was doing. Bobby Green was piecing up Dilber. He was winning that fight. Clip made one mistake, and boom, fight's over.
That's right.
So good fight though. I'm looking forward to seeing both of them back in there.
Yep.
That bantamweight is stacked, man. That bantamweight division is stacked.
I mean, they're so deep.
Yeah, it's
in
crazy.
That division.
Yep.
You were talking about. I look at old style MMA and in the old times it's kind of like a mountain, and you can take a look at a mountain in Southern California, Northern California, anywhere in the states for the most part, when it hasn't been snowing for a while, but there's that cap on top of the mountain, of that snow cap that's on top. That was the way it was in old MMA because you had a lot of fighters, but you only had this cap of guys that were the top that you go, yeah. Now it's like looking at a mountain in the freaking Arctic. It's just covered with snow everywhere.
Yeah.
Just so many good fighters out there. It's crazy the depth of today.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the sport's kind of really taken over. It's really kind of grown to the point where we've got more fighters, which is so important. That's why we need to have more promotions.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to. Look, I've
had
too
many good fighters.
Yeah.
Too many.
I mean, I've had plenty of conversations with managers, with other fighters, with gym owners, trainers, saying, man, we can't get guys fights because we have guys that are top level guys that are beating up some of our guys that are in the UFC and Bellator, but we can't get them signed. They don't have room. They don't have room. So the more promotions, the better. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, sure, you're going to have your top 1, 2, and 3, but having more promotions is always better, just so these fighters stay active, so we can see this sport grow. Yeah. All right, next.
All right, Rafa Garcia against Machate Hayasser. Rafa Garcia, tough dude. He took some shots in this thing.
That's crazy.
He took some shots. Yeah, he's coming when you got to figure. He comes, after training with Cub Swanson, and that's his guy, and Cub's the guy that brought him into the UFC. Obviously, what Cub saw when he was training is what, we saw from this fight, because these guys didn't like each other, man. It was that they didn't want to stop. I kind of like that. I like when they don't want to stop, man. That's good.
You know what I noticed when Garcia came into the sport, he took the fight on short notice. That was his first fight in the UFC. He took it on short notice. I can't remember against who, but it was a tough fight. He ended up losing, but good fighter, super aggressive. But what I've noticed though is because he's been able to get signed by the UFC, and they knew that he did them a favor by taking that fight on short notice and still put on a great fight, is that his body has changed. He physically looks a lot more imposing now. His shoulders are higher. His back is more defined.
Oh, dear.
I saw some abs poking through. He looked a little chubby in the first fight. And then as he's fought every fight, he's got a little bit more gristled up, which means he's taking his training a lot more serious. It's funny how that'll happen when you're actually getting paid. And so I got to give him a lot of credit, man. He took that big cut. Apparently, he was in the hospital for almost 2 hours because they couldn't get the bleeding to stop.
Really?
Yeah, because it hit an artery in his head.
Yeah.
So, but just a dog. A lot of like that. That goes to show that it doesn't always tell the pitcher who's ever got the most blood or whoever's bleeding the most and who's winning the fight.
No.
So, but
he definitely won the fight. But it was a fun fight to watch as far as there was an intensity between the two. They didn't like each other, and it actually made it. Sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah,
it makes for a bad fight because you don't want to lose.
Yeah,
because I don't like this guy, and so I don't want to take big chances. And in this one, they were going after it. So enjoyed it. It was a good fight by Rafa.
I didn't realize how much Rafa he can wrestle, man. He's got some good wrestling. I didn't know I mean, like I thought he was more of a stand-up guy. I mean, that guy can wrestle. He had some great single leg dumps. He had some great takedowns. Yeah. I was like, okay, I see you, boy. I see you. So, anything else on here, John? You want to talk about?
Nah, that was about it. And, well, the other ones were they were okay. Yeah. I thought Manal Cape had some moments. He had that Kimura that was really good. Yeah, got the win. He did what he was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But in those, man, especially if you're in that front preliminary, man, you gotta go. You gotta go for it. In times, and there's times I'm watching guys and it's like, they're fighting, but you're being cautious. You gotta go. You gotta take a chance here.
Yep, with Manel, man, like with Manel Cop, he could have let the gas tank go and he would have won that fight. He could have got him out of there. He just didn't. He was just out there doing the crossover.
Yeah, and he knew he was winning.
Yeah, but still, when you leave guys in the fight for that long, when you're leaving another fighter in there for that long, anything can happen. You can ask Bobby Green. When you allow them to linger around, it's true, John.
That's
it's
true. You're absolutely right.
When you allow these guys to linger around, there's always that one punch opportunity. So you gotta be careful doing that with Manel. All right, let's get into some news there, John. Podcast Dave, what you got for us, buddy?
Dave.
All right, let's hop on over to the first story here.
Look at this one.
I'm sure John's going to have some comments here. California sets a new rule.
Andy Foster's going to hate me.
No, it's all right. I love Andy. Andy knows we love him. We love Andy.
I do love
John,
him.
you want to touch on this, John?
Sure, let's talk about it. Okay. So you got. There you go. I didn't see the headline of it. California sets new rule for traveling combat sports judges after recent Doug Crosby controversy. And what they're doing is they're saying, well, and what's what I talked about on our last podcast. Look, I made a living off of traveling. I was doing, Josh, you figure 300 to 350,000 air miles. That's a lot of traveling in a year, and
are you a million miler? On how many airlines are you a million miler?
2.
Jeez, man, that's crazy. You're insane.
So, but you look at this and you say Andy Foster, who is probably the very best of the executive officers in charge of an athletic mission. He's very, very smart. Comes from a fighting background. He fought well when he was young. He was more of a jiu-jitsu guy who ended up fighting, and he even fought for Bodog. In the Costa Rican coastline. It's a great place to fight. There's just no fans there, but they've come up with this now that, we're now not going to allow judges to either judge someplace other than California and come into California if it's not at a distance as close as Nevada. Nevada is what they've said is, and look, this is all, I hate to say it. There's a reason for why they said Nevada, because Andy knew that, I'm screwing over Jeff Jeff Mullins is the executive director of Nevada. I'm screwing over Jeff if I do this. So we're going to now make this rule based upon what occurred with the controversy in Doug Crosby. We're going to make this rule that we're not going to allow people to work 2 shows back to back, Friday, Saturday, if you travel more than the distance of California to Nevada. Okay, let's take a look at this just in reality, because you're saying that it's too much for your officials. Okay, well, the Paddy Pimblett fight is, the fight that most people are looking at, and they're saying they didn't like what, the scores from the judges on that. It was a close fight, Josh. Let's just be honest about it. It was not like, oh, this was a run-over fight. This was a very close fight. Okay? I had Jared Gordon winning, but I can understand where someone can look and believe that Patty won. But it wasn't that fight. It was the bad score. It was the Rafion Stotts Sabatello fight. Well, that was his first fucking fight. So he was fresh for that one. He didn't travel that distance or have he was thinking about other things. Oh my God, he's tired. That was the shit fight. So now we're going to say, what, you can't, well, all right, we're not going to give you the first fight. We're going to, this is really, what is it doing? It's not doing anything. I love Andy. Yeah. He's awesome. All it's doing is now you're making it to where officials, you need more officials.
Which you're not going to get now. And so now you're going to be putting lesser officials sometimes into those seats. Just, I don't know how to say it. Quit licensing people that shouldn't be licensed. Listen to other people that tell you, don't license that person. They don't know what they're looking at. Instead of taking away job assignments from people that actually do know what they're looking at. Yeah, what you're going to run into, John, and you said it a little bit there, is that the fight. What you just punished all the other judges and refs. Is refs included into this?
Oh yeah, well yeah, have to be.
Okay, so then refs are included, which means now you're going to lose some of your top refs.
Oh yeah.
So some refs that work in Connecticut, or they work in Florida, or they work in Texas, now can't go to Nevada the next day. So all those top tier fights, I mean, you're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot of top level judges. Now, you guys thought it was bad. Now, wait till those top level judges aren't there anymore, and you're getting worse scores. Fuck, the scoring's so fucked up. Well, you guys brought it upon yourself. The media all complaining about this. You guys should have just complained about the one, which majority of them did complain about the one person. Get rid of the one person, man. That's the problem. Why are we licensing this one? Why change it for all the other good judges and refs? Get rid of the one person. I mean, I don't. This to me is.
Hold on, I'm gonna side with the media here. Media has nothing to do with getting rid of a person. That's the athletic commissions.
No, they don't.
Athletic commissions need to look and say, are we being as prudent and honest about someone's performances overall, throughout time?
Yeah. What's going to happen is they're really going to water down what they have going right now. Is that the best ones travel, because the best ones travel for a reason. They want them there.
And a lot of, let's be honest, this is California.
Yeah.
So it's saying that a judge or referee can't work a fight in California and then work somewhere else, or can't work somewhere else and then in California. Look, California brings people in, all the time. You're talking about judges. They're bringing in Derek Cleary. They're bringing in Sal D'Amato. Referees, Blake Grice, all the different guys that they're bringing. Now, they have good referees and stuff that live in California, but now you're saying that you're putting those referees, you're putting Herb Dean, you're putting Jason Herzog, you're putting Mike Beltran into a position now where, I now have to choose. Mm-hmm. I get one. I can't do both.
Can I ask you
unless
a question?
It's Nevada.
Can they work on, say, Friday in California and then go work somewhere else the next night? It's not up. They're not working their shows in California now. You don't have any say what I do the next day.
I cannot answer that question because it hasn't been put out here as far as do they then say, oh, you broke our rule, now you're suspended, or now we're going to sit you down.
Because I mean, if I understand, if you don't want me to come in from Florida, Connecticut, New York, wherever, and then work a California show, I get it. Fine. But you're telling me now I can't go after I've worked my show on Friday, that I can't go work another show on Saturday somewhere else? If that state doesn't care that I do it, why? Like, it should be none of your business.
Yeah.
I mean, these refs, judges, they all need to make money. And they don't get paid a lot. I mean, I remember you telling me it's sometimes $800 up to $1,500. Now, you yourself was getting paid a little bit more because you're,
No, I wasn't.
John, Big
no,
John.
I was not. Stop.
Big John. Big
bullshit. Yeah, you're putting lies. John didn't make any more than John made the same amount for doing whatever fights there were. You know, if I did 4 or 5 fights and I did the main event, I made the same amount as the guy that just did one preliminary fight.
Interesting.
Same, unless it was a championship fight in the main event. Then I got more.
And then even as it went on later on, you made the same?
Same amount. Never changed.
Interesting. Did you get paid more when you went overseas to like Russia?
Yes. Why do you think I went to Russia all the time?
You're a brave man.
I'm a brave man, and you know what? It's all about they paid money. So, yep, I made a huge difference. That's why, look at it, and this rule right here. I can't tell you exactly how many times, but I would say that at least 10 times in my career, I went from Russia to California from a Friday to a Saturday to do 2 different shows. Did it all the time.
Really? Is that even possible to make that flight and get there? Is that even possible to make the flight and get there?
Absolutely, it's possible. Thank God that the world rotates that way.
That's why you're a million miler. That's why you're a million miler. This is not going to make things better, and this is really just to kind of please the media and to please people. Let's just unlicense him, or just make him, or put him to the D leagues. Put him down, in smaller shows until he figures out, how he can learn to make better choices in life. It's really what it comes down to. He's got to learn how to visually see and judge and put it down on paper what he's watching. I don't understand. I don't get it. So, and what's crazy to me, John, is that this is not even like his worst weekend. It just became a big deal. But this is not even his worst weekend. He's had so many bad calls, so many bad decisions, so many bad, what fucking fight were you watching? So anyways, I don't think this is going to help anything. It's only going to hurt the level of people we have. So. I am interested to find out on how it will work if you can work there and then work somewhere else on Friday and then work somewhere else on Saturday, or if it only applies for you to come into California like on a Saturday, you can't work that show. Interesting to see.
We'll find out.
We will see. All right, next.
All right, we have a fight announcement set for.
Oh, that's a good fight.
UFC 286, and it's Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze.
John, we actually talked about this the other day, and I'm sure Mick Maynard was listening to our podcast. He sort of, I shouldn't say this. He started following me on social media. I'm like, hey, Mick, what's up, big dog?
What's up, baby?
I've met him a couple of times, and we've never really hung out or anything, but he seems like a nice guy, and I've heard a lot of great things from managers about him on how good of a guy he is. Super nice guy. But yeah, this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a great fight. I'm pretty pumped for it, to be honest.
I got to, and you really got to give it up for Marvin Vettori in this, because where's Dolidze sitting as far as the rankings?
I think he's up there now, like number 6 or 8.
Is he up
6
there?
6 or 8? No, 8. Yeah, 6 or 8. Yeah, 8.
Okay, so all right, he's in the top 10. So Vettori's at 4, Dolidze is at 8. Okay, it makes sense. I think this is a great matchup. I think Vettori has his advantages in this, and I think there's things that Dolidze does. He's got advantages. This is a great middleweight fight.
I would like to have seen Paulo Costa in him.
And Dolidze or
Dolidze, yeah, Dolidze and him.
Well, isn't Costa's supposedly going to be fighting Whitaker? Supposedly.
Again?
Supposedly.
All right, well, we're going to see.
Maybe not.
We're going to see. We're going to see. But Dolidze and Vettori makes for a fun fight. Vettori's going to try to get that takedown. I don't know if he's going to be able to. And Dolidze's going to be letting the hands go. Fucking some heavy, heavy leather. Should be fun. This should be fun. I'm pumped for this fight because stylistically they match up very well. But I also thought Cannonier and Strickland matched up well. We saw a very conservative fight. So this fight here is could potentially leave a little bit of meat left on the bone at the end, desiring to want more. Yeah, but if I think Dolidze just doesn't have it in him to fight. I don't want to say fight smart, but to fight conservative. He fights aggressive the whole time. He's a fighter. He comes out and wants to get it done. And Vettori is the same way. So I'm looking forward to that fight. These two should just meet in the middle and let the fireworks happen. It's gonna be a great fight.
It's gonna be
Is
awesome.
it a main event though? Dave, do you know if it's a main event?
They didn't say.
No, it's not the main event, I'm sure, because it's UFC 286, so there's going to be a title fight on there probably.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If it's a numbered UFC, it definitely is going to have a title fight. So
yeah,
something like that.
Where's 286 at?
Way down the road.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Boo, boo,
284 is Islam Volk. 285 is to be decided. 86 is probably.
So it'll be in April.
I want to go to Australia.
March
man. I want to go
18th.
to Perth.
Oh, March 8th. Whoa, hold it.
There's
Hold
2
it.
that month.
There's no way they're doing it. Are they? You got to be
It's
kidding me. They're gonna. There's gonna be
286 is in London, and March is in Vegas. So 85 is in Vegas. So it's probably just to do with the different countries.
Wait,
2
what?
weeks apart. They're asking for people to see. That's just not that bright.
What's that? What?
Anytime
to
you
spend the
put
money,
pay-per-views on the same month, 2 weeks apart, you're asking people for the most part to choose.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone can sit there and put out that kind of money twice, and so they're saying, "Oh yeah, but you can have your friend do it." It's like that's not the way it works, man. It's just crazy. One a month, and you're asking people. Okay, it's tough, but people will do it. When you're doing 2 pay-per-views 2 weeks apart, I don't know. Not, in my opinion, smart business. But again, when you have a $500,000 guarantee, it doesn't matter.
Well, John, just a reminder, we normally get paid more when we do our podcast on pay-per-view weekends, so I'm okay with it. If we could have 2 a month for the whole year, let's go.
Wow. I can't believe you just went there.
Oh, I went there. I'm looking forward to that Islam and Volk fight, though, man. There's a lot to be desired in that fight, because as much as I think that Islam's going to walk through him, Volk is just one of those guys, man, that kind of leaves you thinking, what if? What if he does this?
Did you
What if he
see the
does
picture
that?
that Volk had of, his knee? It had Makhachev's face on it. It almost did look like it had a little smiley face on his knee.
I did see the face.
He goes, "This is, yeah."
But I have a question. I mean, does he plan? He can't even reach fucking Makhachev's face with his fucking knee. What the fuck? What is
Maybe
he,
it'll
like
be-
5?
maybe-
What is he, 5'5"?
Yeah, maybe it'll be an illegal one as Makhachev's trying to take him down.
I think he's gonna realize how fucking smaller he is than fucking Islam when he gets in there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at this
it's a
picture.
funny. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Your
That's
belt's
great.
got my name on it. My knee's got your face on it. Take a look at that thing. That's awesome. Look at that.
That's fucking great.
That's fucking the best.
That's great.
And
And the way he flexes it, it looks like at the top part, his top muscle, the little
his
one that goes
quad.
over the top of the kneecap.
Yeah, his
Fucking,
quad.
it's so great. It looks like Islam's wearing the papuka thing or whatever it's called. That thing
As it does.
on his knee. That's pretty cool. Though.
That's right.
That's fine. I love when fighters have fun like that.
Dude,
like
that's
he's not being
funny.
disrespectful. He's being
No,
fun.
that's fun.
That's
That's
fucking
funny.
great.
That's
I love
great.
it.
You know?
Next, Dave. Next.
All right, let's wrap up on this one right here. TJ Dillashaw talks about regrets from kind of his career, and he says it going to 125 because of the weight cut and obviously the decisions that he made. That was the biggest regret for him was going down to 25. So just wanted to get your thoughts on the overall coming down in weight, thinking that you're gonna step up and then the hurdles that come with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think let's be honest about this. When TJ was making that choice, I thought, and I said, man, that's just too far to go down. You're losing too much. Your chin will end up being less because you're going to be super dehydrated, trying to make that weight, and then you're going to put the weight back on, but it's not enough because the cells change and you don't want to do that. And that's exactly what occurred. And it occurred in a multi-stage for TJ in this. That weight cut changed his metabolism. It changed who he was as a fighter. And it's hard to explain to people. This is why going down, people go, oh, he should drop weight classes. Not everyone can drop weight classes and perform. Their body stops reacting the same way. It stops doing things. It's just not that natural flow that they have when they're a weight class above or 2 above. And TJ ended up having serious issues off of that weight cut. Not only the fight itself, which was bad for him. He lost that to Henry Cejudo, and take nothing away from Henry in that win. Henry did exactly what he was supposed to do. He got the win. Nice knockout in the first round. But it was even after that fight, TJ had problems based upon everything he did to try to get himself down to that weight class. And it took him a long time. And he, I think he's trying to say that, look, I ended up doing things that I shouldn't have done based upon the way I was feeling. Okay. I can understand if you say it's a regret. It's a regret. And it led to other thought processes and decisions that you now regret based upon that one. Yeah, he's being honest.
Yeah.
It doesn't make an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an excuse for him, but it's understandable that that's a big regret.
Look, the drop to 125, I think he would have been better going up to 145.
Yes, absolutely. He would have performed way better.
Yeah, and what you're seeing is, and I think the proof is in the pudding kind of thing. Like, you look at guys that are tweeners. You got George Masvidal, you've got RDA. They've had success at 170. Now, maybe they're not going to be champion, but they've had some great success at going up in weight, and they're not big guys. Like, George is tall, kind of carries the weight well because he is tall. RDA's just got like thick legs and ass, broad shoulders, but he's not a tall guy. He's like 5'8", 5'9". No. He's not a tall guy. He's got thick legs. He's got a thick trunk. He's a gamer, man. He's a fucking fighter. And so that's why they had the success going up. Benson Henderson had success going up to 170. You remember when he beat Brandon Thatch?
Yep.
He had some wins at 170. It's hard for them though, to make a choice. Sometimes going down, I think all the time going down is not better. And based on the fact that, like, you think you're going to be bigger, but you're also going to change, like you said, your body's going to change. When you lose that much weight, I didn't cut a lot of weight as a fighter. I cut anywhere between 18 to 20 pounds at the most. But to me, that wasn't a lot of weight after hanging around with all the daggies. Once you hang out with the daggies, you realize you're not cutting very much weight. These guys are cutting from a lot, man. But when it comes down to, that week of fight, like, I would cut slowly, throughout the week to get me down to, the weight I needed to be at weigh-ins. But John, those 2 days before, I was lightheaded. I didn't cut as much as these other guys. I was wondering how they got around. I mean, it's dangerous. It really is. If you're not doing it properly, it's dangerous. Lightheaded, people having to walk each other. I remember watching Gleason Tebow. He had to be walked from the sauna to the weigh-ins. His two coaches were walking him.
How many guys?
It was like, what are you doing, man? He's just so
guys
big.
Being carried.
Yeah.
Carried to the weigh-in.
And
can't even get up on their own feet to step on the scale. They got to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I see them, I'm like, damn. And so when he has a regret going to 125, it's a definitely understandable regret. In terms of whatever he did outside of that to get to 125, or because of how he felt or whatever it was, and I like TJ. I think he was a fantastic fighter. Whether he was using the stuff or not, I think he was a fantastic fighter. All those things, sure, they help you with your cardio. They help you with, you can train more so you can learn more. But he still had to put in the work. Let's not be mistaken. I feel the same way about Anderson Silva. He's a cheater. But he still had to put in the work. Fantastic fighter. Great fighter. Just a cheater. And it didn't change the fact that they still learned the techniques. They still learned how to use them and use them in the cage in live situations. It wasn't like they were just on the mitts looking flashy. So TJ, they're still fantastic fighters. I think a lot of his injuries, and people kind of shot me and were trying to murder me in the comments about this. I think a lot of his injuries now, John, was because he was using. What happens is when you use, from what I understand, is that your body builds muscle faster than it's supposed to. It's getting stronger in certain areas, and when you get off, it's not able to hold up to what that is doing. So then you're still trying to train like as if you were on the stuff, and then your body just can't do it anymore. And so that's how you end up with knee injuries and shoulder injuries. And you've built all these strong tendons when you were using all the stuff, ligaments, tendons, and muscle. You're building the muscle faster than your body really should be building it. And so when you go out there and try and do it when you're not on it, it's not the same. Your body can't handle it. You're training hard. You're still thinking that that stuff helps you retain water, which helps your body repair. What happens is when you use, your body retains the water, and the water helps your muscles repair so you can train even faster. All of this stuff makes sense. In his injuries, I think, came from his use of whatever it was. And it can't be not, I don't want to say it's not true or that it is true, but You had fighters from Alpha Male. I mean, like Cody Carmont was talking about how he was using way back when he was at Alpha Male. It's sad, man. It really is, because he was so damn good. TJ had the desire to be the best no matter what, whether he was using or not. He had the desire.
Yeah. No
and
doubt.
a lot of that got the better of him because he was having such success. That's why he went to 125 and tried to challenge himself when he should have went to 145. Just, I think, because it was Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, and, you know, the guy who beat DJ, all those things, that kind of resonated more for him. You know, and then they were talking about getting rid of the division at the time. So that sparked the fire of like, hey, maybe I'll just stay at 25. But if you looked at him, John, when he was at 135, and then you looked at him at 125, he looked just depleted. Like his face, his stomach, it was like he didn't look like the same person.
No.
He looked good at 35. For him to go to 45, I mean, if he had just taken the time to build the muscle on a little bit properly and lift it a little bit, and I think he would have been a fantastic fighter at 45. Fantastic fighter.
I do too. And you got to look and say, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't strength that made TJ who he was.
Mm-mm.
It was elusiveness.
Exactly.
It was speed. It was, you know, those things made him difficult to handle. That wasn't going to change going up to featherweight. It would only intensify. You know,
Yeah,
so
he would have been the faster fighter. That's the thing. Like, that's Dominic
whole point.
Cruz made such a career. He wasn't a strong guy. You could tell. He wasn't a strong guy. He was just elusive. Speed, the ability to hit his mark and his target from
Get in
different
and out.
directions. Yeah, get in and out. Like, all of those things. I mean, that
was,
he was not
you know,
strong.
you can take a look at Dominic Cruz now, you know, and he's lost his last, you know, fight against Cheeto, but it was exactly, he was doing well with Cheeto Vera. Speed has become a little bit different. He's not, I mean, and it's so small of a degree, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference in you being able to get away with getting out the way that you're going and not. Yeah. That kick, you being a little slower, it lands flush. That kick, you being a little bit faster, it just grazes and slides by. And that's the difference of you staying in that fight and saying, oh, I'm not going to do that again. Little mistake. Yeah. But the speed got you out. This is what happens. Yeah. You know, speed's a big thing. And he would have been really fast at featherweight. At you know, flyweight, you're going in the wrong direction to gain speed.
Yeah, the other thing is that you're going in the wrong direction against somebody who's an Olympic gold medalist. He's a gamer. He's somebody that mentally can't be broken. He's been there. He's been there at the highest level, competing on the biggest stage. You know, he beat DJ. It was a great fight. Like, these are all fights. Like, he's been there, done that. Like,
you know, what you're saying is, it was so funny because I look at what people are saying as his fight is getting closer to being made with Aljamain, and what people are saying about Henry. Oh, look, he's fat. He's this and that. I go, dude, you guys are making a huge mistake. This is a guy that knows exactly who he is, what he needs to do, and where he needs to be, and he will get there because he's done it his entire life at the highest level. You know, don't look at, oh, he's heavy now. I don't care.
Yeah. My concern is the long layoff, which kind of bothers me a little bit because he's going to lose that fight pace timing. But Aljo also doesn't fight at an extremely fast pace. He does in that first round. He's got a lot of movement and stuff, but he's going to have to be very careful.
Let's be honest.
Cejudo.
He cannot out wrestle Cejudo.
No.
Okay. Now he could end up in the grounded position, and he could, you know, get into a scramble and catch Henry in a scramble, you know, locking on a submission or anything like that. But he ain't gonna out wrestle him. He's not gonna just be taking him down. And in the stand up, Henry's pretty goddamn good now. Yeah.
The stand up really kind of gives him some currents for Aljo. I think it's a really tough fight for Aljo if he can't get him down. And the chances of him getting him down, he's going to have to shoot, then try to pull him into guard, and then try to get some sort of sweep somewhere along those lines, or chase an arm, or chase an ankle lock, something along those lines. He's going to have to chase. But he's somebody that's used to being on the back. He's used to being able to get to the body lock and then wiggle his way to the back and then get the hooks in. I think it's going to be pretty hard to do against
not an easy thing.
Yeah,
not saying he can't do it, but it's not easy.
Exactly. I'm not saying he can't do it. Go to WeighingInMerch.com, pick up. Oh, by the way, John.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we're wrapping this right in time for the fucking finals of the World Cup. I cannot wait. Starts in about 20 minutes. Hell yeah. I watched for third and fourth place yesterday, Morocco versus Croatia. What a game. What a game, John.
What a game.
You
How
know,
many flops were there?
it doesn't fucking matter. The game was fantastic.
Crazy.
First two goals happened like within like 3 minutes of each other. Both of them were headers. Fantastic, man. It's so insane to watch. And then today you got Argentina to see if Messi's going to win his first World Cup.
That's
against France.
That's
Seeing if they can repeat.
France is good.
They're good. They got a lot of injuries. But they're good. You know.
Let's see if Messi can take over, which I've seen him do in games.
France is a lot bigger than them.
Yeah, well,
a lot bigger than Argentina.
If you're going to be honest, you know, I would be running into Messi a lot. He's not a big guy.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
There's stories about him that
but he's tough.
He was small as a kid, and that that his parents put him on growth hormone. I think it's public. I mean, I gotta look it up. Dave, can you look that up real quick? I think his parents had put him on some growth hormone when he was a kid to make him grow a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
didn't work.
But I believe it was something like that.
HGH.
Yeah, HGH. Yeah, Lionel Messi and HGH as a kid.
Human growth hormone. Well, they do that. You know, around the world, for kids that are, I'm serious. That's a norm, dude. That is back when growth hormone became what it. Do you even know where growth hormone comes from? Where it originally came from? Now there's a synthetic, but back when it was first,
didn't they come from like deer or deer antlers or some shit?
Oh, yeah, and this is where growth hormone comes from the pituitary gland. You have a pituitary gland in the back of your brain.
Got it.
So they would take cadavers and remove the pituitary gland and process it and grind it up, and that's how they came up with growth hormone. But it was very difficult to get based upon you know how small it is, and so how many bodies you need to do it and stuff. And so the real problem was it was put out there in the beginning for kids that had growth problems, that doctors were starting to put it with those kids to help them grow more. Well, then bodybuilders found out about it, and this was when they said, oh, and so they started getting doctors to give it to them. Then there was no supply of it, and then they started going and they started taking monkeys, rhesus monkeys, the closest thing, and they would take the pituitary gland. Dude, this is all crazy shit, but they did this shit, and the fucking bodybuilders were starting to take that. And you watch some of them. They have this, their forehead started to actually grow and protrude. They have this big old ledge over their eyes and stuff. You go, you were taking that fucking monkey shit.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Fucking nuts. But that's what people will do when it comes to, I want to win. Powerlifters, bodybuilders, that's how it all started. Finally, they came up with a synthetic for it. But yeah, that was a normal thing. That's not like his parents did anything that was like, ooh, that's crazy. That was a normal thing.
I'm sick right now, John, and I don't even take like NyQuil, Dayquil. I don't take any of that shit.
You should.
That shit will run its course.
I like Dayquil.
I'll do
good.
I'll juice. I'll do like kale and garlic.
So you're juicing.
I'll juice.
You're juicing right there. You admitted it.
Like kale, garlic, some bok choy. Yeah, all that stuff. I'll just juice, man, for a couple days. Yeah,
garlic
you have
is
to
good
put
for
garlic.
you.
Garlic and ginger, 100%.
Garlic is one of the best things there is.
Absolutely. Like if you have a sore throat, the best thing to suck on is garlic.
No.
Yeah, it gets rid of your sore throat. Yeah.
No, best thing to suck on Ricola. Ricola.
What? What'd you say, Dave? Cook it? No, you juice it. You juice it.
You just grind it up.
You just put it in the thing and you juice it and it goes into the juicer. So I use kale.
I don't hate juice, but
kale, spinach. I do a little bit of cilantro, some garlic, ginger, and you always put an apple or a carrot because it gives a little sweetness to it. Fucking, it's great, man. Flushes the shit out of you too, by the way. Literally flushes the shit out of you. But I'm excited, man. We got the final start in about 15 minutes.
So you're out of here.
TV. I'm out of here, man. I'm gonna sit in my room because I'm sick as a dog and just sit there in bed and watch them. So I'm not doing shit today. I'm a hot mess, man.
Yeah, but moving pigs, baby, moving pigs.
You're fucking crazy. All right, guys. Well, hey, want to thank you guys so much. Just remember, on Christmas morning, we are dropping the AJ McKee interview, and then the following week, we've got the Juan Archuleta interview coming up.
Sorry. This coming midweek show is Juan Archuleta.
Okay.
And then Christmas.
So
is,
Juan's first.
AJ.
Juan's first. Okay,
Got
so
it.
Juan is
So we
first.
got Juan
is
first, and then on Christmas Day, AJ McKee, because we are covering, and promoting
Yeah, promoting.
the Ryzen versus Bellator show on New Year's Eve. I love that.
I cannot wait for that. And then go to weightinmerch.com, pick up some of our sweaters. Got new apparel all out, new designs. Check it out, man. We got our old design. We got our new designs. Check them all out. Let us know what you think when you guys order them. Post a picture of yourself wearing them so we can retweet it, repost it, all those things. And look, to be honest, we want to be very, very appreciative of how you guys support us. And share our content to everybody out there. If you guys have something for us, let us know in the comments because I read them. And I'd love to talk about whatever you guys have up there. So especially right now through the holidays, try to get some more fan engagement for you guys. And we appreciate you guys a lot. John, take us away.
Last thing I want to say before we go off. Look, people, UFC is done for the year. There is a big show on New Year's Eve. And I want to say that there's going to be a person missing from that show. And it is Lenny Hart. Lenny Hart has been she was the voice of Pride. She was that crazy screaming woman who introduced the fighters in such a classically strange way that it made it special. She had vocal cord surgery and stuff. She had a problem, so she's not going to be there. I want to tell her, Lenny, I hope that you get better soon. Can't wait to hear you again, see you back. Take the time that you need to get better. We're going to miss you. We love you. And for everyone else out there, watch on New Year's Eve, even though Lenny's not going to be making the calls, which does make it really cool.
It does.
Watch that show, and we will see you.